As performers, creative entrepreneurs, musicians, we are no strangers to having to perform, having to be on stage, having to do the things in the moment. But yet, our body can play tricks on us when we don't understand the right coping mechanisms to alleviate the stress responses that usually performing requires. So, in today's episode, I'm going to share some of my personal tactics that I use to uncover and release the tension that sometimes can come in my body, whether it's through a performance or through work or through any sort of stressful situation, how I use my physicality to regulate my emotions and keep my nervous system in check. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Musicians Creating Prosperity podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Fabiana Claure. And in today's episode, I'm going to share the best tactics to release the tension, release the stress that may be coming to you, whether it's around performance, whether it's around work, whether it's around any sort of situation that may be bringing you any sort of anxiety or stress. I'm going to share some of the ways that I've learned to really beat the anxiety and sometimes the uncertainty that can happen through being an entrepreneur, through being a performer, through being a musician, and how I've used different physical tricks to ease that tension. And so, if you have ever understood or tried to understand what happens when we experience stress, basically, under any condition of stress, whether it's internal stress that we cause through our thoughts or emotions, or external stress situations that come at us from whatever unexpected conversations, unexpected things that happen, changes, or anticipation of events, whatever thing that is happening, it will create a surge in stress hormones, primarily the hormones that are preparing your body to fight or flight. That's the stress response that happens when your body enters into the sympathetic nervous system, which is like alert, run from the lion. There's a lion chasing you, you got to run. And so what happens is our body has an incredible way of managing that stress. And it produces these rush hormones that are intended for us to move and to run away from that lion, which is how our bodies are designed. Like when we're usually, in a primitive state, right? When we were primitive beings, like we had to run from the threats, and most of the threats were just other creatures that were coming after us to eat us. And so what happened was our bodies produce a response that is meant for us to move. And what happens in our modern society is that we usually don't move when we're stressed. We just are sitting down working on our desks, or we're in a performance. If you're a pianist, you're probably sitting in your bench and you're just like, yeah, everything is causing you to stay still when you have that stress response, which is the opposite of what our bodies are designed for. So why is this important? Because there are ways that you can quickly regulate your nervous system and relieve yourself from any sort of anxiety or stress you may be feeling, not by just trying to relieve it internally through your thoughts and mind perspective, which is important, but also literally through body hacks. So let's talk about the first one. Well, what happens when you have this rush of cortisol, these stress responses that are designed for you to run, is that if you can move your body when you feel anxious, instead of staying still or freezing or staying like tight, right? Tightening your body, whether you're sitting down, whether you just received the bad news, whether you're, on a performance stage. Obviously you can't run around if you're in the middle of a performance, but you can certainly walk carefully outside before you are about to stand on stage, instead of just sitting in the green room, right? And just like be in this nervous state of anxiety and anticipation. You can choose to move your body, walk around. And when you shake your body, I literally have a vibration plate in my office. So whenever I am anxious or I want to just get things going, if it's raining outside or the weather's not nice or whatever it is, I can stand on my vibration plate and it'll move, it'll shake me, right? Sometimes when you have difficult conversations or there's something that's kind of getting you anxious, having something that you can move quickly, even if it's just jumping jacks, kind of getting yourself going, the blood flowing, having a way to just release that stress through movement is the first thing. The second thing, once again, the physicality part, is if you are not going to move specifically, like you're not going to walk anywhere, you're not going to jump or shake or whatever, you can literally snap yourself out of it by tapping into your body. If you're familiar with different tapping techniques that exist, there's a whole movement of, tapping for emotional regulation. And there's many different ways you can do it. But literally, even if you don't understand the true process of tapping, it's called EFT, I believe, emotional freedom technique. You can tap yourself in certain parts of your body that will immediately help you release some of that tension that you're feeling. You can literally also just tap yourself in your different areas of your arms, your upper extremities, your lower extremities, your belly. A lot of the times when we're tense, our tummy gets like tight, right? Because our digestive system is almost like getting ready to fight, right? To escape from that lion that is chasing us, quote unquote. And so it wants to like either paralyze it, the digestion, or eliminate what you have in it, right? So if you've ever felt that anxiety and you're just like, I got to run to the restroom, that's because your body's trying to eliminate what it has. So you have a lighter way of running away from the danger, right? From the threat or the perceived threat. Hey, quick pause here. If you are a musician, music educator, or creative entrepreneur who's built a successful business, I need to ask you something. Do you feel trapped by your own success? Maybe you have steady clients, consistent revenue, maybe even a team, but you're working more hours than ever. You can't take time off because everything depends on you. You've become the bottleneck in your own operation. Sound familiar? Here's the truth. You're not failing, you're just succeeding without the right systems. The skills that got you here aren't the same ones that you need to scale. I know because I've been there. I founded my music academy in 2011, and by 2016, I had built the systems to manage it completely remotely on autopilot. That success led to my online business, which replaced my university salary and gave me the freedom to build a lifestyle business on my own terms. I've also helped countless musicians around the world do the exact same thing, win back their time while exponentially scaling their income on their own terms. That's why I'm hosting my free Autopilot Your Music Business Masterclass to show you exactly how you can do this too. Go to musiciansprofitmasterclass.com and secure your spot right now. Imagine having the freedom to focus on what you love the most while your business thrives on autopilot. That's exactly what we'll build together. Now, back to today's episode. So just finding ways to regulate your body through just tapping yourself on it, patting yourself in your arms, in your chest, in your belly, in your legs, and just tapping. That act of tapping will already start like stimulating the blood flow, getting you to kind of concentrate on other things in your body, right? When you get that stimulus in your body, then it can help you just, kind of snap out of it, if you know what I mean. And that's the second one. And the third one is breath work. When you breathe deep, there's a breathing technique that is one of my favorites, which is called boxed breathing. Boxed breathing is being able to breathe slowly, counting for 5, holding it, counting for 5, then breathing out slowly, counting for 5, and then holding it at that point, counting for 5. So it's 20 seconds total, right? You count for 5 each step of the way. And when you create that deep breath work, or you just do like a quick inhale and you hold it for a few seconds and then a quick exhale, the act of breathing deep immediately changes your nervous system, and it can regulate you from being in that heightened state of fight or flight, alert, freeze, whatever, panic, anxiety, to a state of more calm acceptance and awareness, and a reflective state that actually helps you think better and make better decisions. Here's what happens when we get stressed and we don't know how to regulate our body. That we can't decide, we can't solve the problems that we have at hand, and we literally, our brain freezes, right? And so what I want to empower you is to understand that there are ways where you don't have to be too hard on yourself just from a mental standpoint, or think, oh, why am I so weak, why can't I manage stress? Like, you don't need to push yourself so hard or feel disappointed in your perceived inability to handle stress. You can literally hack your way through the physical stimulus that you can produce yourself to your own body. And then through your body, you can come back to your state of peace, you come back to your regulated state, and find ways to calm yourself down, and then therefore solve the problems that you have at hand. And this is important because it's almost like a hack. That's what I do many times. As I said, I love just moving my body. I love concentrating on the deep breaths. I love just tapping myself and just having things that, even if you're not feeling good, if you just do it, it's going to help you start feeling better. And why is that important? Because sometimes we can be very hard on ourselves and just expect that we just feel better by thinking about feeling better. And although there's a lot of power in the mental side of it, and of course I've talked a lot in these podcasts about the inner game and the mental perspective and your inner beliefs, your limiting mindset, all the things that will definitely impact how you handle stress. Today's episode is about external stimulus, things that you can literally hack your way into stress control, stress relief, and regulating your emotions in order to make better decisions. And so the final thing I'm going to share in this episode is, if you have a way of solving the problems that you have at hand without associating an emotion to that problem solving process, That will ultimately be the greatest hack of all, because what happens is when we have some sort of a stressful situation, something that comes at us, especially if it's unexpected, is that we attach an emotion to that response, right? It's like, oh, I can't believe this is happening to me. Oh, why is this happening to me right now? This shouldn't be happening to me. And you create a state of resistance to what is. And so, if you can also not only use these physical stimulus that I just shared with you, right? The body tapping, the breath work, the shaking, the movement, but also create this habit of detaching your emotional charge to whatever thing it is that you're trying to deal with, then you will be able to help yourself create that barrier between solving the problem versus just letting the problem drown you and suffocate you in whatever it is you're trying to do. The difference between the most successful people that I've been around, and honestly, the most successful clients that I've guided, the most successful mentors that I've worked with, is their ability to detach emotions from problem solving, hands down, right? So if you still feel a little flustered and you don't feel you can quite detach that emotion in the moment, use these 3 techniques that I shared from a physical standpoint. Tap yourself through it. Take some breaths, stop and take some deep breaths. Try to move, try to shake a little, try to jump, do whatever you can. And then ask yourself, how can I focus on solving the problem and not so much on just resisting it, or trying to understand it, or trying to justify it or logically describe it? No, no, no. The best way you can do this is by focusing on the solution, the way you're going to solve that problem versus on the actual problem. And especially removing the emotion from that process of solving your problem. So if you are right now in any way feeling that stress or feeling that overwhelm, remember, you don't have to go through this alone. You don't have to just suffer, or think that it's just you, or like you should be able to handle it. This is something that we all go through. I'm literally sharing these tactics because this is what I use too, right? I don't have it all figured out. I don't want you to think that I do. And this is what I'm literally doing every day whenever I feel I need it. And it helps, which is why I wanted to make this episode for all of you today. So if this helps, let me know. Please leave us a review. We would love to be able to share and connect with more musicians around the world and give these techniques and share everything, which can apply both on this concert hall, on stage, as well as in your office, on your studio, in the settings you have with clients. However you want to do it, it is possible. So I hope this helps. And until next time, let's prosper together.